As Christians, we know that God is constantly blessing us, but money can still make us pretty anxious. And if that is you, then keep on watching. Because this week I got a great question from Jolanda in the Happy Habits school group, and she asked how to be more financially stable with the blessings that God has already provided her. So, in this video, I'll walk you through 3 biblical shifts that I've discovered to move you from "I hope I'm okay" to calm, stable, God-honoring finances. We will talk about the heart posture that God cares about most. We'll talk about how to steward what you already have without fear and without hoarding. We will talk about how to invest wisely. Plus, at the end, I'll show you the one investment that most Christians overlook completely. So, if money feels confusing, but you know you want the Lord at the center of it, then this is for you. So to be direct with Jolanda right now, here's what I already know about you from how you asked the question. You're not trying to get rich to impress people. You already see your income as a blessing from God, whether it's a little or a lot, but you also want to be stable. You want to be able to pay the bills, to give generously, to not live with that tight feeling in your chest every single time that you log into your bank account. And I get that. Although we have great faith in God as our provision, we can't just assume that if my heart is in the right place, the numbers will somehow just work out. Heart posture definitely matters, but God also talks a lot about how we handle his money. That's why we get this conviction to be financially stable as Christians. So we will walk through heart, stewardship, and investing. And at the end, I'll give you a real life example of how an ordinary 9-to-5 woman can double her income in just 10 years. Because most people underestimate what God can do through compounding faithfulness. All right, so my first question is, when you get paid, what is the first thought that you have? Is it, finally, I can breathe a little? Or, how fast is this going to disappear? Or, Lord, what do you want me to do with what you've given me? Jesus says in Matthew 6:21, "For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." In other words, your money follows your heart, and your heart follows your money. If all of your treasure goes to comfort and image, or it goes to fear, then your heart gets trained to trust those things more than it trusts God. So you gotta be honest for a second. When you're stressed, are you scrolling Amazon? Are you filling that shopping cart? Or do you reach for scripture? When you feel behind, do you try to control or hustle harder? Or are you inviting God into those numbers? You have to reveal where your heart's at. Because a biblical heart posture with money sounds a little like this. Lord, none of this is mine. I am a manager. I am not an owner of this. Show me how to use your money for your purposes and care for my family at the very same time. That doesn't mean that you never enjoy what he gives you. It means that you enjoy it as the good gift from God, not as an idol that controls you. And if you want to practice putting this heart posture into action tonight, before you go to bed, open that banking app, pray the model prayer that Jesus, this is all yours, and journal it out. The purpose of my money is blank. Make it something that lines up with his kingdom. That can be caring for family, generosity, impact. Just let the Holy Spirit pour his wisdom out onto that page so you can see what God is trying to write on your heart if you let him. Jesus told a story in Matthew 25:14-30. We often call it the parable of the talents or the bags of gold. And I definitely recommend that you read it through entirely, but let's go over a quick summary of it. So, a master goes on a journey. He gives one servant 5 bags of gold, another 2, and another 1, each according to their abilities. The first 2 servants put the money to good work, and they end up doubling it. The last servant is afraid, so he buries it in the ground, he hands it back untouched. The master calls that last servant wicked and lazy, and not because he lost money, because he had the very same money that he got in the beginning, but it's because he refused to do anything with the gift that he had been given. If you looked at your money and your time and your skills, are you more like the servants who put it to work, or the one who buries it out of fear? Some of us think that being godly with money means never thinking about it, or never taking a risk, or just saving, and calling that wisdom. But if you notice here, the fearful servant didn't lose the money. He protected the money, and the master was still not pleased. God is not honored by our reckless spending, but he's also not honored by us fearfully hiding it away. And notice again how it is tying back to our hearts. For most people, you can usually just know if you're being a good steward or not, but the tricky part is identifying where you're going wrong or what you could be doing better. And the fastest way to figure it out is to write it all out. It's the simplest way, and I always say it. On one page, write all of your income, what you put away into savings, what do you have debts on, any skills that God has given you, whether that's teaching or organizing or cooking or design, whatever it may be. And then when you've done all that, circle one area where you know that you've been burying that talent or your resources out of fear or avoidance, and ask God, what is one faithful step that I can take this month to utilize this thing better? So if your heart is in the right place and you're starting to steward what you have, what do you actually do with extra money beyond bills and beyond your basics? Now we're getting into talking about investing. First, a quick, simple framework from Dave Ramsey, who's been helping Christians handle money biblically for like 30-something years. His famous baby steps of financial freedom go in this order, and we're going to kind of condense it a little bit. So number 1, save a small starter emergency fund, and often this is $1,000. 2, pay off all non-mortgage debt using the debt snowball. 3, save 3 to 6 months of expenses in a full emergency fund. 4, invest 15% of your income for retirement each month. 5, save for kids' college if you have kids. 6, pay off the house early. 7, build wealth and give generously. People do argue about some of the little details with the plan, but the order carries biblical wisdom. Deal with debt, live on less than you make, then consistently invest so you can give more generously. For many women, a solid target is that, once you're out of consumer debt and you have that 3 to 6 months of expenses saved, then aim to invest around 10 to 15% of your income every month. And that can be with retirement accounts that your job provides, long-term index funds, or otherwise long horizon investments. But the key in it all is consistency and following that plan wisely. And now, here's that one investment that most Christians overlook completely. It has more return on investment than the stock market, has lower risk than real estate, and is one of the most biblical high return investments that you could ever make for yourself. It's into your God-given abilities. So let's think about this. The more valuable your skills, the more income that you can earn over time, the more you can give, the more you can save and enjoy without any of that fear. Let me give you an example. So imagine you're making $50,000 a year in a 9-to-5 job. If you can sit still and take tiny, 2 to 3% cost of living raises, maybe that income creeps up to $60,000 in the next 10 years. But what if you decide every month I'll invest $100 to $200 into my growth? And that's, signing up for courses, reading different books, signing up for coaching, getting a different certificate, or practicing leadership and communication. Each year, your skill level grows, and now instead of that 2 to 3% cost of living adjustment, you'll be able to ask for a 5 to 10% raise with confidence because you're actually making the company that you work for more money. Or get a certificate that lets you step into a new role that pays $10,000 to $15,000 more a year. Or start a small side business that brings an extra $500 to $1,000 in a month. If your income grew by even 7% in a year, it would roughly double in about 10 years. That is the power of compounding skills and not just compounding interest. And to make it even more real for you, a sonography certification, which is all you need to be an MRI or an ultrasound tech, makes about $75,000 a year on average, and it only costs about $10,000 total and 2 years to get it if you do a part-time program at a community college. So if you can spare $415 a month and deal with late nights and early mornings for 2 years, then you can permanently increase your income to a completely another level. But that's just an example, and we can always just keep it simple and pick one skill that would make you more valuable in the work that God has given you. So communication, leadership, project management, a technical skill, or even emotional regulation, wink, so you can lead others better. Set aside a small, clear amount each month, like 5% of my income goes to my growth each month. Pray, Lord, show me the best way to invest into what you're making me to be, because that is not selfish. That is great stewardship. All right, let's zoom out a little bit here. We have covered 3 big shifts: 1, heart posture; 2, stewardship; and 3, investing. When you live this way, you become a woman who sleeps at night without worrying about money, a woman who can say yes when God nudges you to give, a woman whose money life actually reflects her faith. Remember the image of looking at your bank account with that knot in your stomach that we talked about earlier in the video? That's replaced with this. You log in, you see the plan, you see the progress, and your faith grows in the Lord regardless of what the number is, because you're walking in step with how He wants you to use it. If this has stirred anything in you, don't just nod and move on. Obedience starts small. This week, I want you to do 3 simple things. 1, pray over your finances out loud. Lord, this is all yours. Show me my next faithful step. 2, write your money purpose sentence. The purpose of my money is blank. 3, choose one action. Start your emergency fund, make your entrusted list, or pick one skill to start investing in. You'll not do this perfectly. You'll have weeks where you slip, but God's grace is bigger than your budgets and your mistakes. I can assure you that. He's not looking for perfection, but He's always looking for our faithfulness. And remember, it always comes back to your heart and where it's at. If you want more practical biblical help untangling your thoughts in your life, then hit that subscribe button and check out our 5-day Get Out of Your Head challenge, where we walk you through renewing your mind one simple step at a time. We share content every week to help high-functioning Christian women like yourself step out of spiraling and live a more calm, clear, and Christ-centered life. You do not have to figure this out alone.